Welcome to the Crochet Hangout. I'm Kendra, and today we will be making the Check Me Out scarf. This easy scarf pattern combines basic stitches and uses a simple color change to form a fun and functional scarf. The 72-inch scarf can be comfortably worn in several different ways, and the cat embellishment is fun and whimsical. The required materials for this pattern are Deborah Norville Collection's Everyday Soft Worsted, which is a 100% acrylic yarn, size 4, medium. This particular version was made using 2 skeins of parfait and 1 skein of black. This amount of yarn provides enough materials to complete the Check Me Out scarf and its accompanying cat. Both patterns are available at crochethangout.com. You will also need a hook. This is a boy hook with an ergonomic handle, but a plain metal hook will work just as well. This is a size I 5.25 millimeter. Gauge is not critical for this pattern, but to obtain the 72-inch length indicated in the sample, you'll be looking for a gauge of 14 stitches and 10 rows in pattern equaling 4 inches, and that pattern is the single crochet double crochet combination. You will also need a tapestry needle for finishing your work. The required skills for this pattern are chain, single crochet, half double crochet, slip stitch, and skip stitches. I will walk you through everything you need to know to make this scarf. If you'd like additional tutorial information about how to do any of the stitches indicated, or to get your own copy of the printed PDF pattern, you can visit crochethangout.com. Our pattern was made using Deborah Norville Collection Everyday Soft Worsted, but any number 4 medium 100% acrylic yarn is substitutable. So in this case, today's sample will be made using Red Heart Super Saver in the color Gray Heather and Icelandic. And again, just using the size I 5.25 millimeter hook. We are going to begin with color A, which is, in this case, our variegated color, as it was in the original pattern. So we're going to find the end of our yarn. And when you get a skein of yarn, I like to pull from the middle. Just make sure that you have your outside tail accessed so that it doesn't get knotted up. Pull that out of your way. And you can go ahead and pull the yarn from the middle of your skein right here. Put that off to the side so it's out of our way. We're going to begin our scarf with a simple slip knot. We're going to pinch with our fingers, wrap the yarn around these 2 fingers, take your hook, slide it between, pull up a loop, and pull tight. Now that our yarn is attached to the hook, we're going to begin by chaining 22. Note that this scarf is worked in turned rows, and when the color changes occur, we're just going to leave the tails and we will cover them up with our edging. Now to chain 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Your chain is formed by just yarning over and pulling through. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Now for row 1, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from our hook and then single crochet in each remaining stitch across. So you're going to take the front of your hook and you're going to go into your second chain. 1, 2. You don't just want to pick up this front loop like this. You want to make sure that you go through both loops of the chain, as you can see here. And when you look, there will be a front loop and a back loop. That's going to give you the nicest finished edge in the end. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over your hook, and through both loops. First single crochet made. Now we're going to go on to our second stitch. You're going to put your hook in the next chain, making sure you get both the front and back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, through both loops on the hook, second single crochet completed. We're going to just continue in this manner till the end of the row. If you'd like, you can pause and catch up with me. I will meet you at the end of row 1. Now we've reached our last stitch. We're going to take a moment to count and make sure that we have 21 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. May seem a little tedious to count your stitches, but it really is going to help you be successful in this pattern, especially when it comes time to do our eyelet rows. Now we're going to move on to row 2, which begins with the starting sequence for a double crochet, which is a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This chain 3 counts as a double crochet here and throughout the pattern. Because of that, we're going to turn our work, and we are not going to put a stitch in this first hole because the turning chain counts as our first stitch. We're going to go into the second hole. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook in that second opening. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2 more, double crochet made. Then you're going to do your next double crochet, yarn over into the 3rd stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2 stitches on the hook, yarn over through 2 stitches on the hook. You're going to continue on in this manner for the rest of row 2. Make sure that you catch every ply of your yarn. Like you see here, my yarn split a little, so I'm going to just make sure that I get both plies. Because if you split your yarn, you're going to end up with an unfinished end product. So you want to just make sure that you keep your yarn right where it is supposed to be. See, it did it again. Some yarns split more than others, and even within a given yarn line, you might find that one skein is splittier than another, or that you go through a particular part of a skein where it's splitting. Maybe it's you, maybe it's the yarn, it all just depends, but just a little bit of vigilance will help you end up with a quality product in the end, regardless of what you are working with. You don't have to put a huge amount of money into these projects to get good results. All you need is a little bit of effort and taking care with your stitches. I'm going to continue on with this double crochet till I reach the end of the row. I will meet you there. Now we're at the end of our row on our final double crochet. We're going to yarn over, make sure that we pick up the front and back loop. The edge stitches can be a little tricky, especially at the beginning of a project. So just, again, use care. Yarn over, pull through 2 hooks, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we're going to move on to row 3. Row 3 is going to be a single crochet row. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Then we are going to single crochet in the first stitch and in each stitch across our row. The important thing to remember in this row is that in row 2, the double crochet turning chain counted as a stitch. So when we get to the end of our row, we're going to make sure that we single crochet in the top of that stitch. We can check our work when we get to the end of the row by counting the number of stitches and making sure that we still have 21 stitches. I will meet you at the end of row 3. So you can see here, I'm in my final stitch. I went through the top chain of the chain 3. Just going to yarn over and pull through to make my final single crochet. When you go back and check, there are 21 stitches across. Now rows 4 through 13 are just going to be an alternating repeat of rows 2 and 3, 5 more times. So you're going to, after the single crochet row, do another double crochet row, then another single crochet row, until you reach row 13, which will end on a single crochet row. I will meet you at that point. So here we are at the end of row 13. As you can see, we've basically just repeated this grouping of single crochet and double crochet 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Finishing with a single crochet along the top for row 13. Row 14 is just going to be another row of the double crochet, which we're going to start with our starting chain of 3, turning and remembering that in this pattern that turning chain does count as a stitch, so we go into the second hole for stitch number 2. We're just going to go ahead and continue across the row in double crochet. and I will meet you at the end of row 14. So now we're at the end of row 14 in our double crochets. We're going to chain 1 and turn so we can do our final row of single crochet. Basically, this colored unit at the bottom is going to be 7 groupings of the pattern repeat, row of single crochet, row of double crochet. So you're going to do 7 of those repeats, and then you're going to cap it off with a row of single crochet. This row of single crochet is going to join with the single crochet row of the next color and give you a really crisp edge to your striping. So we're going to go ahead and pull so we have good tension and go into our first hole there and work our double crochets across. When we get to the end of the row, I'm going to show you how to change colors. So we're nearing the end of row 15, which is our final single crochet row. Remember, we're going to put a single crochet in the top chain of the turning chain. The way we're going to change colors is actually in the middle of this stitch. We're going to pull up a loop of color number 1, the Icelandic. And now we have these 2 loops on our hook. Ordinarily, you would yarn over and pull the yarn through. But instead, we're going to complete the color change in this stitch. We're going to change to the gray heather. The gray heather the same way as the Icelandic, just pulling it from the center of the yarn. I'm going to leave, I don't know, about 4-inch tail. Pick up my hook. I'm going to yarn over with the gray heather and pull it through in the same manner I had been pulling the Icelandic through. So now you're going to have these 2 tails here. I'm going to go ahead and get my scissors, and I'm going to trim the Icelandic to be about the same length as the gray heather. I'm just going to leave the tails hanging here for right now. You're going to have tails on the edge of your entire scarf, and when we do the edging, we're going to go ahead and work those in to prevent needing to weave in so many ends. It'll also help us to have a nice crisp color change because you won't be working over any of the yarn. It'll also prevent bulk along the body of your scarf because you won't have so many ends woven in. So I'm going to go ahead and clip that yarn and then move along. Making sure that it's the Icelandic that I have, it can be a little confusing with the color changes. I'm just going to snip that end. Now we're done with color A for the time being. And we're going to move on to using color B, which is the gray heather. I'm just going to put these tails behind. And we're going to start row number 16 by chaining 1, making sure we pull those tails nice and tight. Turn our work. And then we're going to go into the first chain, pull up a loop, and go through, completing a single crochet. We're going to single crochet all along this row, making sure that in each stitch we get both the front and back loop of the row below. Now we are at the end of row number 16. You can see how those single crochets just match up so nicely, and the 2 rows meeting gives you a nice stripe of the color change. This is also a good opportunity to go ahead and check your stitches again, because in the next row it is particularly important that we have 21 stitches across. We're going to begin row 17 by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. In this case, however, our chain 3 does not count as a double crochet. Instead, it is 2 chains of half double crochet and 1 chain of chain. So that half double crochet is going to count for this first hole here, and then we're going to skip a stitch. So we're going to skip that second hole. So we're aiming for this third one right here. Go ahead and half double crochet into that third stitch. You're going to yarn over, put your hook, making sure you have both loops, the front and back loop, yarn over, and then we're going to go through everything on the hook, all 3 loops, making our first half double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and half double crochet in the next one. Chain 1, skip a stitch, half double crochet. This is setting up our eyelet row, which is basically just a fancy way of saying holes. There are going to be chain spaces left blank, which we're then going to go and fill back in this top bit with a row of single crochet, which will kind of strengthen everything and make them look like little windows peeping through our design. So you're going to go ahead and continue this chain 1, skip a stitch, half double crochet until you reach the end. If you've done it properly, when you reach the end, you will be left with 11 half double crochets and 10 of these little chain 1 spaces. I'll meet you at the end of the row. For doing row 18, it is worth noting that your single crochets are going to go into the top of the half double crochet, 1 single crochet into the chain space, the next into the half double crochet, the next into the chain space, and so on. When you get to your final chain 3 over here, you're going to go into the top of your half double crochet, 1 over the chain for the chain space, then your final stitch is going to be in the second chain of this turning chain. That will make sure that you have the right number, all 21 stitches across. I'll meet you at the end of row 18. Here's what row 18 should look like once it's completed. You can see there's the stitch in the half double crochet, 1 in the chain space, and then in the second loop of that turning chain. For rows 19 through 22, we're simply going to repeat the pattern we've already established. So our next row is going to be an eyelet row, using our half double crochets, chain 1, and skip spaces. Then for row 20, we're going to simply do a row of single crochet through our eyelet row. Row 21 is going to be another row of eyelets, and row 22 is going to be a single crochet across the top. I will meet you at the end of row 22 because in the very last stitch of row 22, we're going to accomplish another color change. So here we are at the very end of row 22. The last thing I need to do is put our final single crochet in the second chain of our turning chain. I'm going to go ahead and put my hook through and pull up a loop. So now we're going to change back to color A in the same way that we changed to color B. So I've got my 2 loops on the hook. We're going to take color A, loop it over, and then just pull that loop through to finish off our single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and trim color B, which is my gray heather, leaving about 4, maybe a little longer tail. And I'm going to take color A and color B's tails, flip them over the back, and chain, whoop, and simply chain 1. Give everything a little pull, make sure that my yarn is secure. Chain 1 and turn my work. Now I'm going to work a row of single crochet along the top in the same manner as we did before. Then we're simply going to repeat the established pattern, starting with single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, repeating that pattern 7 times, ending with a row of single crochet. Moving on, we're going to do a color change, single crochet row of color B, eyelet row, single crochet row, eyelet row, single crochet row, eyelet row, single crochet row. We're going to do this a total of 6 more times, leaving us with 7 groupings. And then once we have completed our 7 groups of color block eyelet stripe, we're going to simply finish off the end of our scarf with one more section of the color block. This is going to be done by doing our single crochet row, double crochet row, just the same way we've done it before, 7 groups, and end with a row of single crochet, and then we're going to fasten off. So I'm going to, for the sake of this sample, go ahead and do my final color block on the other side of the eyelet rows. And I'll meet you there to show you how to do the edging. So here we are at the end of what is essentially our scarf. In this case, I'm doing an abbreviated version. But we're going to go ahead and finish off after our last single crochet. Just yarn over, pull through that loop, and pull it tight to finish off. Then we're going to make the loop a little bigger. Make sure you pick the right end of the tail. And we're just going to snip it. And do our edging with color B. It says that we're going to start in where our first stitch was made, which is going to be the opposite end of our foundation chain. We're going to start in this very first stitch here. Put our hook through. We're going to, make sure we leave a tail on that, draw up a loop of color B, and we're just going to slip stitch to secure. We're going to chain 1. You're going to put a single crochet in this corner. That single crochet counts as the single crochet for your single crochet row. You're then going to put 2 single crochets in the edge of every double crochet row and 1 single crochet in the edge of every single crochet row. You're going to work in that manner down the side of your scarf. When you get to the eyelet rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in the side of the single crochet row, 1 single crochet in the side of the half double crochet row, and so on. When you reach the portion with your tails, just hold your tails along the side of your work nice and flat and work your stitches over the top. This will hold your tails in place. Now if you find that your tails kind of bunch out of your stitches, just give them a soft pull on the end. That should even out your tension. It's okay if your yarn is different lengths, just leave whatever bits of tail hang out. Make sure it's good and secured though, so several inches of the tail need to be worked in, and then you can just leave the rest of your tail bits to the back and work your way around. When you reach the corners, make sure you put 2 stitches in every corner. Then you're going to work along this single crochet, 2 in this corner, and then work your way all the way down the other long side of your scarf in the same manner, working in your tails. Your tails are going to be worked in the direction of your stitching. So on one side of your scarf, if it's laying like this, on one side of your scarf, all of your tails are going to end this way and the other side this way because you're going to work around it in a circle. When you get to this bottom corner, you're going to work your 2 stitches in there, and then you're going to work your edging into this back loop of your foundation chain, which you can see right here. Remember when we first put our first stitches into that foundation chain, we made sure to use the top and bottom loop. Well, there will be a bump loop left, and you're going to pull your stitches through there, through all 21 stitches until you reach the end. You're going to do your final single crochet and then slip stitch to your very first stitch and finish off the same way you did previously. And that is the end of the scarf as far as the body of the scarf. Next, we're going to work on making the cat embellishment seen here on our sample. If you're looking to make a more gender neutral scarf, you have a few options. First of all, you could just leave the embellishment off. It still makes a beautiful scarf. Secondly, you can use a gender neutral color scheme, perhaps favorite team colors or something of that nature. And thirdly, you could just skip the color change at all and work the entire scarf in one color. Perhaps a nice gray or a brown or whatever the favorite color of the intended recipient is. Now I will walk you through how to do your cat embellishment. Make sure that after you finish your edging and you trim all of your tails, that you save your little pile of scraps because you are going to use these to make the face of your cat. Now we're ready to make our cat face. The base of it is going to be worked in turned rows. Rows 1 and 2 are going to work on either side of that foundation chain. Then you're going to add features using the trimmed pieces from your tails of the scarf body, or you can use additional scrap yarn if you prefer. We're going to begin by making a simple slip knot, and we're going to pull it tight. Now that we are attached to our hook, we are going to chain 10 using color B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then next we're going to single crochet through the second chain from our hook. 1, 2, making sure that we pick up both that front and back loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and complete your single crochet. Now that your single crochet is completed, your next stitch is going to be a double crochet. What we're doing here is shaping the ears of our cat. So you're going to double crochet into that second chain. Then we're going to half double crochet in the third chain. This is just stair-stepping our ears down. Then we're going to single crochet in the next chain. And finally, we're going to just do a slip stitch through the next, which means we're going to pull the loop through both the front and back loops of the chain, as well as through the loop on our hook. This will make the ear shape, which especially once you stitch it to your scarf, you can kind of finagle the stitches to be pointed. Then we're going to do the other ear, which we're just going to build up from this slip stitch. In the next chain, we're going to single crochet. In the next chain, we're going to half double crochet. Then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. And lastly, we're going to single crochet in the final stitch. That way, our stitches are even across. Then, row 2 is worked on the other side of your foundation chain. So those back loops across, the little bumps. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're just going to single crochet in each chain bump across. There will be 9 of them. So the first one is right here. 1, 2. Sometimes they can be a little tight, and depending on your yarn color, they can be a little trickier to find, but it is well worth the effort. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and finally number 9. So as you can see, this is going to make for ears, and now we're going to work our way down the front of the face, doing turned rows back and forth. So row 3, we're just going to chain 1, turn, and we are going to single crochet across this row. We're actually going to make 3 rows in that manner. So rows 3, 4, and 5 are just going to be single crochet across, chain 1, turn, single crochet back. So I will meet you at the end of row 5. Now that row 5 is completed, we're going to be doing a single crochet together to decrease our stitches. So you're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to insert our hook in the first stitch and draw up a loop. Then insert our hook in the second stitch and draw up a loop. Yarn over, go through all 3 loops on your hook. Single crochet 2 together, made. Then we're going to go across, and we're going to put a single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to single crochet 2 together in these last 2 stitches. So I'm going to draw up a loop, go to the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. So you will have 5 single crochets and 2 single crochet 2 togethers for a total of 7 stitches. Then for row 7, we're going to do the same thing again with the single crochet 2 togethers on the ends. So we're going to single crochet 2 together. This time we're only going to do 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and single crochet 2 together on our last stitch. Then for row 8, we're going to do the same thing. Chain 1, turn, single crochet 2 together, 1 single crochet, and single crochet 2 together again, for a total of 3 stitches in our final row. We're going to fasten off by pulling a loop through our final chain. And we're going to leave about an 18-inch tail, because this tail is going to be used to attach the cat base to our finished scarf. Just trim that end. So there is your cat base. You're going to use the little bits of yarn that you have left from your trimmings to put a face. In the case of the sample, I put 2 eyes, a little triangle nose, and then I took a longer piece of the white portion of the variegated and made 2 whiskers on each side. Now it doesn't matter what the back side of your embellishment looks like, because it's all hidden inside the scarf. Just make sure that you tie good knots for all of your different components, and then trim their tails so that they won't hang out past the cat face or make it bow too much when they're hidden underneath. Then what you're going to do is take your tapestry needle, string the tail of your cat base, figure out where you want it on the first square of your scarf, and you're going to go ahead and just sew around it with that end. Being careful that you don't go through the back of the stitches. That way you have a nice clean look. If you were to just go in and out and in and out, you would see stitching on the back. But if you are careful to go in between the bits of yarn, as you can see, you can just sew through the stitches rather than through the scarf. And that is everything. Once your cat is on, make sure that you have trimmed all of your ends, and you can also go ahead and weave in your final tails wherever they may be, and make sure those are trimmed as well. You might need to finagle around these eyelet sections just a little with the color change to make sure that your tension is nice and even. If for some reason you have some tension issues where things are a little bunchy or you can't quite stretch everything out quite right, simply washing and drying the acrylic should help to block your stitching, which basically just means to relax and ease the tension. It will also make your eyelets look more open and even if for some reason there are some tension issues. Same thing with your edging. After it comes out of the washer and dryer, your whole scarf should be a little bit more square, just naturally, without you having to do much to finagle that. And this is your completed Check Me Out scarf. There is also an accompanying Check Me Out hat, which is a hat with cat-shaped ears. Head over to crochethangout.com where you will find pattern tutorials, video instructions, and more. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.